and welcome to the second part of the show. A big welcome to all of our listeners across the globe in West Africa and those doing the listening on our various affiliates in West Africa. My name is Christopher Teacher. Welcome to the second part of the conversation on democracy debate and trap of anarchy. Today we will be finding out when is it that time to speak? When can citizens speak up so that they do not become lawlessness people? Or they do not become unlawful people. When is that time where, uh, uh, because demonstration is part of because demonstration is part of the whole democratic processes. And of course, to help us have a better understanding of this particular issue is a political analyst, and he is on the campus of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Ghana, Evangelist Richard Pra. So good afternoon. And
Thank you, my brother.
so first up, we in a democratic state, we want to find out, when we talk about democracy debate, we asking when political parties are given the opportunity to have a banter where they share their ideologies and their plans and purposes to the citizenry. And then on the other hand, we asking for a trap of anarchy, when to speak and when not to speak up. It means that the debate would obviously give you a platform to communicate whatever idea, whatever plans you have to the citizens. At what point can the citizens hold you up to account on whatever you have given? A clear example in the case of Ghana, the citizens are not spectators. The president urged every citizen. Now citizens are becoming citizens and they are arrested for they being citizens. How should the citizens react in this case?
Thank you, my brother, and for that intelligent question. We as a country have a constitution. There is only one republic, but there's been times that there's been coups. So many people now say that we are in the fourth republic. Let's accept that and make progress. We have the 1992 Constitution that has served us the longest since independence, and in it is enshrined our freedom of association, that anybody has a right to associate with any grouping, and then it also gives us the mandate or the power to also form political parties. So we are in a multi-political democracy. And by that, the 1992 Constitution states that in Article 42, says every citizen of Ghana of 18 years of age or above and of sound mind has a right to vote. Certainly, when you have the right to vote, you have also a right to choose which political party to vote for. And as part of our democracy, to deepen our democracy, there's always the stage to listen to every other side. Whether you are in government or in opposition, there's always been that platform by the media. Note that the media also gets its strength from the constitution, that many of us says the media is the fourth estate of the realm. And the media will always want to be fair, listen to every political party. In Ghana, there's this saying that we have a duopoly now. It's now NDC, NPP, so most of the political platform, being it radio or television or any other media platform, you realize that these two political parties have always taken the stage. Meanwhile, there are other political parties which I wish they will also, raise themselves up to the table. So for me, the question is, when do we speak up and when we shouldn't speak up? Per the Constitution, we must always speak up. Democracy means that everybody must have a voice. Everybody must be heard. We must always speak up. When things are going right, let's commend those who are doing the right things. When things are going wrong, let's condemn those who are not doing the right thing. That is the only way we can get the best out of our democracy in terms of development and everything, our peace and our movement.
So if That is what enshrines in Article 42 of the 1990 Constitution of Ghana the right to vote. Every person of sound mind ought to be given an equal hearing and is entitled to register and vote. Now, sometimes the policies of these political parties, they tend to actually go away from that. They tend to give you, they said we'll give you a better life, and then we rather doing the opposite. In this case, if citizens organize themselves to hit the street to demand for accountability, and then the government uses its own forces, i.e., the security personnel, to grab these people, are we therefore re- re- um, reflecting what the Constitution says?
Thank you. Chapter 5 of the 1992 Constitution states that one, we have right to life. Every person has a right to life, liberty, and security of person. There's also personal liberty. No person shall be deprived of his personal liberty except in accordance with law. And then human dignity. It goes on. There's also a part that says freedom of thought, conscience, and belief. Every person has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and belief. There's also freedom of expression. That is, every person has the right to freedom of expression, and then including freedom of the press. Freedom of assembly. Every person has the right to freedom of assembly, including the right. And then it goes on. You realize that even the demonstrations that people are entitled to, it's also enshrined in 1992 Constitution. That is,
So why can't we demonstrate peacefully now and then freely now?
it's unfortunate that today we have a precedent. If we go back from 1992, there was that uprising dubbed Kume Preko. It was demonstration that was, led by this same president and their political party, NPP. And it was series of them. Certainly, in any demonstration, there will be excesses, but the state is supposed to provide security. And then they can talk of the excesses that happened from 1992. It's rather unfortunate. Our president today, President Nana Dodankwa Akufo-Addo, who is touted as a human rights activist and all that, and the records are there to show. Today, he is the president. And it's unfortunate that people cannot have these rights that he enjoyed when they were in opposition. It's rather unfortunate that today people protest or demonstrate and they are being arrested. As we speak, there are about 50-something people who have been arrested for demonstrating against illegal mining and the destruction of our forests and our river bodies.
That is what is communicated by one part. But on the other part, the police says these people, first of all, of course, in adherence to rule of law and law and order, it must be enforced by the police service.
Sure.
And so the police must also protect you in your course of doing. But you need to you need not to cause excesses. In this case, the police are saying they were unlawfully guarded at an unapproved and unauthorized place. So that is what has actually led this. Isn't it on the part of the citizens to also listen to what the security personnel who is supposed to protect them do?
Yeah, I will condemn anything that goes against the laws of the state, most especially our security, our peace of mind, our movement, and anything. I would support anybody to enforce the laws. But today, as we are talking, there's no crime that is not bailable. There's no crime that is not bailable. This is not the first time. You realize that there's been series of protests by some of our youth who are not aligned to any political groupings. And especially this same group, Democracy Hub, they change informed. I remember there was this freedom fighters. They come in different forms, but we realize that there are certain people who are always in them. For instance, Oliver Bakavomao, they had one of the things that fixed the country. They did some protest. There was arrest and all that. But 2 months to our general elections, this same group says they want to demonstrate to show their displeasure, their disgust against how our forests and our river bodies are being destroyed by illegal mining. They went to the police, they had a discussion, and even everything, their movement was planned. Certainly, according to the police, some of the reports we are picking indicates that they tried to flout some of the laws. They blocked some parts of Accra. I've heard 37 military hospitals. They wanted to block their main entrance. Certainly, it's a security zone. It borders on the health of people who are coming to seek medical attention, which I'll condemn if that happened. But the police have been quick to arrest them. Some of them, I hear, they were not even part of the protesters. Some we hear they are pregnant women. Today you hear they are not pregnant, and all that. The question I would ask is that why have the police been so quick to arrest, go to court, and these people have been remanded for 2 weeks by our own courts? 2 weeks. What is their crime? Now, the main purpose of their demonstration have been, undertone, and now we are discussing their arrest. I feel that our security agencies need to do more in terms of intelligence. Security all over the world is based on intelligence. But we realize that our police, in as much as I'll commend them for so many things they've done to protect our movement, our peace, and our security, in most of the cases, they also go overboard. This one, I beg to disagree that somebody will be protesting against an illegality. This person has been arrested for protesting against an illegality that borders on our lives.
Right. So, in all of these, so citizens are unhappy. They demonstrating. The big question is when to do that.
Yes. When to protest. The Constitution gives everybody the right. You have a right to do even one-man demonstration group or any. The Constitution gives us that. In fact, it's part of our democracy. But when you need security, before you do anything of such, you need to inform the police. By informing them, you are not seeking permission from the police. You only informing them because of some of the excesses that
You're informing them to do what?
To protest or to demonstrate.
Is that not permission?
You don't need their permission. You inform them so they come and give you the security. They come and protect you. When you say you need their permission, which means they have a right to refuse. The police don't have the right to refuse anybody who wants to go on a demonstration. They can say that on this day, because of this and that, we cannot provide you with the security that you require. So we will suggest that you move it to this day. In terms of even the movement and the route that you use, the police can say that you cannot use this area based on this and that. There must always be that agreement for security reasons.
Okay. So, in that case, for security reasons, at what point do we say that we're throwing a state or a country into a period of anarchy or into a state of anarchy?
So far, Ghana, after our independence, there's been one or two things that when we go into history, we can describe that it threw our nation into that bad light. But for so many years now, I don't think we have any example to use in recent times. Let's go back 20 or 30 years now. But there's been demonstrations here and there, which I don't think it has gotten to a state of anarchy. But we must always be guided by the things we do today. That should inform what may happen tomorrow.
So what are the things that would inform tomorrow that tomorrow may be a state of anarchy if the youth right now are dissatisfied with a lot?
At any given time when the youth feel that their rights are being trampled upon and things that are enshrined in the Constitution, for instance, freedom of speech, you can voice it out when you have anything that bothers you. But you must be guided that after you speak, freedom before you speak can be granted, but your freedom after you speak cannot be granted. Some of the things you say, you may have to answer. You are responsible for the things you say. For instance, when you say anything that can be treasonable, we have example of a former, he's still an MP, who made a statement on radio that he is calling for war. He is declaring war. It is only the president who has that right. So he was charged for treason, even though he was freed. So, state of anarchy, what can get us there? I don't see it happening, and I don't wish it happens. But we must be guided that we do not trample on these rights by citizens. For instance, the right to demonstrate. When we realize that any certain government is using the security to arrest people who are doing what is their democratic right, then Nkrumah said something. The Ghanaian can be very peaceful until they can no longer hold on to what is being, they are being taken through. That is, to paraphrase what Kwame Nkrumah Osajefo said. So, if there's any government who prevents people from expressing themselves, from demonstrating, from having access to what they are entitled to in the Constitution, democratically, then I can see that we can get to that state that we all don't wish.
So tell us, to that state, so what is the worst in a state of anarchy? Or what is the worst scenario in a state of anarchy?
The worst that can happen to us, so far,
if we reach that point of anarchy,
so far, when the rights of the citizenry are being trampled upon, when they are not getting what they are entitled to, developmental projects like infrastructure and these things that any government promises them, then we can say we'll get there. But so far, with our constitution that gives us every 4 years, one term, we go for an election and decide whether the certain government should be given another term or be put aside. 4 year. When people think that is too short, for me, I think it is good that it holds us. Can you imagine having this going on as we have today? That those who are demonstrating are being arrested for calling out the government to ensure that our environment are not destroyed. These people are now being put behind bars. How long can citizens endure the destruction of our river bodies and our forests? There's a saying that when the last tree dies, the last man dies. So we are protecting our forests. When there's people say that water is life, and this water which is supposed to give us life is being poisoned. It means that we are being killed. This is mass murder. This is the point we are. So if we do not allow people to vent their anger, to demonstrate, and government makes the effort of addressing it, then it gets to a point that we all see that this is about life and death.
So you talked about the fact that election would obviously be a change of point, just
Yes.
in case you're unhappy or you are happy about something. But between that point when citizens are unhappy about lots of issues and election time, if citizens go way beyond measure and they become unlawful, what becomes the state of that country?
Then it becomes a banana republic. That is that state of anarchy that you were talking about. But the Ghanaian is so patient enough that
Is that patient good or bad?
sometimes there's that negative aspect of it. When you see things going wrong for some time and you are too patient to watch things go wrong, then it's bad. But when your patience is that, okay, I've done all that I have to do democratically, but you seem not to listen or heed to and pay attention to what I'm talking about, then on the 7th of December, your punishment will be to vote you out.
While we wait till that 7th of December, in all of these anger, in all of these venting moments that the ordinary citizen is actually doing, how should that be protected? Because at the moment, many of them are at bars.
For me, I will still call on our citizens. They've done so well to ensure that we don't do anything that will undermine our democracy.
But of course, others would say demonstrating is not like a conference, diplomatic conversation. Something would obviously trigger something.
Sure.
And so if I come and I chant, I come with placards, I am clapping my hands, I am breaking something which it like, because that is what I feel I need to vent at.
Yes, as I said earlier on, there will always be excesses. Some, even in their right to express themselves, insult the president and the government.
Mm-hmm.
People insult. Mm-hmm. People bend ties. People throw stones.
All of those things the police are ascribing as unlawful now.
Very well. And these are the excesses we talk about. But you can have...
Is that not a characteristic of demonstration?
All these you find in a the demonstration.
So how does that become a crime?
It becomes a crime. When you throw a stone, it may hit someone. You have injured someone.
I've not thrown a stone. I only shouted.
Your shouting will be enough. If only people will be shouting, it's enough. It's your voice.
So
you can insult
the rights of these. Who should be in charge of protecting the rights of these venters?
The police, and who enforce the laws. The police, whose duty it is to enforce the laws. But don't go to this area, and for security reason you enter or you trespass.
But
you have broken the law.
But you told me that my duty as a citizen, a concerned citizen who wants to vent, is to inform you.
Yes.
So that you guide me through.
Yes.
While you're guiding me, you're making sure that I am not destroying any state property.
Sure.
But now you are not even you're not even willing to even guide me. But you are from the onset obstructing me.
Obstruction may be your word as against that of the security. When you met them, what was the zone, the area that the two parties agreed that you could go, where you cannot go? Where you cannot go, the security must give you a reason. Most of the time, it's based on security issues.
Area?
Yes, security zones.
But I'm not doing anything. I'm not coming with any ammunition.
Yes, and when we agree that you are not supposed to enter here or cross this line, as a law-abiding citizen, you are not supposed to cross. When you cross, you have broken the law. Then the law must take its place and enforced. But I always call for minimum sentences, caution, and distance rather than imprisonment for expressing your democratic right.
Right. It's still Citizens Are your most authoritative citizens engaging platform on West Africa Democracy Radio, and I am here with a political analyst on the university, on the campuses of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Evangelist Richard Pra, and we're looking at the issue of democracy debate and trap of anarchy. When is that time that individuals would have to speak, or citizens will have to speak, and how will that particular point of venting be protected? When do we ascribe our demonstration and our things to vent our anger as a state of disorder and lawlessness? That is what we're talking about. So we again want to find out from you that, I mean, you've been listening worldwide and across the entire West Africa. We want to find out from you that if the government of the day, who before it became a government, went through a democracy debate and then sold his message to us, and we bought into it, we gave him our terms, and now it's obscuring us, as I would use to demonstrate, to vent. How should a citizen do a match of the person's debate during, before, or before getting power and after power? How should you be able to remind a person?
Debate is always one of the best processes to send your message across, and then for the viewers or listeners of that debate would also be able to assess you, how deep a thinker you are. But when you are given the mandate, what you do, it's also another thing. There are people who have, had debate. We've had presidential debates in the past, and then one of them certainly wins and is able to follow through to some of their policies. There are some who also did so well, excelled on the table of debate, and then when given the mandate, they are doing some other things. In all, it is up to the citizen to mark them by what they said as compared to what you are doing when given the mandate. So we realize that now even some of the political parties, opposition, are not interested in debate. They are not interested in debate. So are some of the citizenry, because they realize that some people were so good at the debate level, but when they believed in the things they said and gave them their mandate, they have failed woefully. So now the best debate is what you do.
Right. So, I mean, as we end, you've been listening worldwide and across the continent. Your message to citizens on when to speak and how necessary is that?
I would urge everybody, especially across Africa, we have accepted democracy, and democracy grants us our right to express ourselves. It is our freedom to express ourselves, share your views when things are going right, and you feel like commending those in authority. You have a right to do so. But when things are not going right, you also have a duty to voice out and let the government or those in authority know that this one is not going well. This one is. When they have a listening ear and they are humble enough to see that what you are saying is right, they should be humble enough to accept that this one we got it wrong and correct them. By so doing, the people will love you. But when you become adamant, you don't listen, the greatest punishment you can give to any politician is not to vote for them when they come to you. Don't vote for them. It's the best punishment you can give any politician.
Right. So, the greatest punishment you can ever give a politician is not to vote for them when they come to you. These are the very ending words of Evangelist Richard Pra, a political analyst here on the campus of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in the Ashanti region, Kumasi. Thank you once again, Imo. This way we end the conversation. Back to you.